We're going to finish up topic 4.3 with explain 4. We're going to be finding imaginary solutions of simple quadratic equations. So using imaginary numbers and the property below, you can solve simple quadratic equations that do not have real solutions. So for example, they give us a negative square root of 6. So remember that that's the same thing as saying I squared, because negative 1 and I squared are the same thing. So it's like saying I squared times 6. So so when I take the square root of that, the square root of I squared is I squared of 6. I like to say, instead of doing that whenever we see a negative under a radical sign, so I'm going to erase that. Negative under a radical sign, we are going to pluck your eyes out. Oops, I wrote eyes wrong, didn't I? Your eyes out. Okay, so hopefully it makes it you remember it. Or pluck maybe my eyes out, something like that. So let's solve this quadratic equation. So we're going to start by subtracting the 12. So x squared equals negative 12. And take the square root of both sides, plus and minus out front. So x equals plus or minus. I see a negative under the radical sign, so that means I'm going to pluck my eyes out. I know that that can be broken down because it's a 12. I know a square number divides it. The biggest square that divides it is 4, 3 times. So I got plus or minus I. The square root of 4 is 2. Square root of 3. Typically, that's not the way we would see it written. We would see it written as 2i square root of 3. You could also write it maybe as 2 square root of 3i. That's a little less common. All right, let's try it again. So I'm going to subtract 11 from both sides. So 4x squared equals negative 11. I'm going to divide by 4. So negative 11 divided by 4. I am going to, what did I do wrong? I didn't subtract very well, did I? It should be a negative 5. So negative 5 divided by 4. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. I'm going to write a plus minus out front. I notice that I have a negative under a radical sign, so the shortcut is pluck my eyes out. I've got the square root of 5 on the top. I know the square root of 4 for the denominator is just 2. I could leave it like that. Typically in this form, though, you would probably see square root of 5 plus or minus square root of 5 over 2i. That's typically how they would write it. All right, so now's a good time to pause the video, try the next 2 problems, and then turn it back on and check it. So I'm going to subtract the 9. So I get 1/4 x squared equals negative 9. In this case, I'm going to multiply by 4 on both sides. So I would get x squared equals negative 36. Take the square root of both sides, plus and minus out front. So x equals plus or minus. I have a negative under the radical sign. I pluck out my eye out. And then the square root of 36, we got lucky this time, right? It's just 6. It's a square number. All right, our last one. So number 12. We're going to subtract 3. So we get negative 5x squared equals 7. And then I'm going to divide by negative 5. X squared equals negative 7/5. Take the square root of both sides, so I get plus or minus in front. I see the negative under the radical sign, so I'm going to pluck my eyes out. I'm seeing square root of 7 over square root of 5. I know I'm not allowed to leave that radical in the denominator, so I'm going to rationalize it by multiplying top and bottom by square root of 5. So I get x equals plus or minus square root of 7 times square root of 5 is square root of 35. Square root of 5 times square root of 5 is just 5, and then I'm going to plot my eye at the back. I am going to let you know that on this right here, you are not, let's see, you are not going to do number 15. So you get to skip 15. You can just do 13 and 14. Okay?